My school district gave all high school students laptops that they could bring home with them to use for school work. They could also remotely activate the webcams and spy on students, although of course they didn't tell us this. One kid got caught smoking weed this way while he was in his room at home and I think was going to get suspended. He sued the district in response for invasion of privacy and won the case. It got national media attention for a little while. Good for him. My friend's sister got suspended for a fight she got into after school. Off school grounds. Their parents fought it and got the suspension reversed. I'm tired of schools thinking they have any say in what kids do on their own time. Unless a student specifically gets school personnel involved, it's none of their business. Activating webcams to spy on students at home sounds like something a pervert would come up with. How many employees were involved? The assistant principal died in a car accident. There was a big, somber school assembly in his honor. His wife said a few words. And then his 14-year-old daughter came to the microphone to say a few words. She sort of snapped and unloaded about how he was not a good guy. He was a monster who had been abusing her and her little sisters and using them for kiddie porn for years, and she was glad he was dead. I've never heard a room full of people grow so silent. So fast. Well, that took a turn. Damn. How'd the wife mom react to that? A year after I graduated HS, a woman was stabbed 40+ times with a pair of scissors while jogging on our track on a Sunday. One of the guys in that year's senior class wound up hanging around the track over the following days, obsessively pestering investigators with questions and theories. So naturally some suspicion fell on him. When the woman's description of her assailant, she survived, matched him spot on, he was arrested. And both the scissors used and his bloody clothes were found at his house. Dude was sentenced to 10+ years in prison. End of story. Right? Wrong? 2 years after the trial, the jailed kid is ordered released after his little brother, 1 year younger and a dead lookalike for his big bro, is popped for violent sexual assault on a woman and confesses to the stabbing during questioning. Turns out the older brother took the fall for him, falsely confessing so that he could keep his younger sib out of jail. Dude never told anyone, but did admit the lie after his younger brother's arrest and confession. I knew both kids when I was a student there. Both brothers were definitely thought to be weirdly intense, but their behavior was attributed to their military dad's strict style of parenting, and not anything darker. Amazing how the human body works. On one end you have man gets punched once in bar fi, dies, and on the other it's woman gets stabbed 40 times, survives. Everyone's favorite teacher was in fact banging that student he always hung out with, who would sit in his lap and would visit him after she graduated. They could not have been any more obvious. Edit. For everyone asking, this was a performing arts high school in San Diego. From about 2005 to 2008. Edit. I don't know if this is allowed, but here's a link with pertinent info. She got a $1.25 million settlement because no one acted. She sat on his lap at school in front of people. How is that allowed? It isn't. But surprisingly doesn't get talked about. It's a clear sign that something inappropriate is happening, but it is hardly ever reported. One 9th grader broke water on her field trip and one of the teachers had to help deliver the baby. My high school district's superintendent hired a relative who wasn't qualified for the job. Increased the salary of administrators every year. Used the district's credit card to buy meals, groceries, gas, personal electronics, and gift cards. When the state audit went through, they said that the overpay of administrators and the personal spending cost the school district around $1.1 million. Her husband was also an administrator. When she eventually got caught, she just retired and for some reason never faced federal charges. When she retired, she had a $260,518 salary. My favorite part is that the state audit discovered that the district's credit card was used to purchase logging equipment the same month the superintendent's husband filed paperwork to open a timber company. Everyone knew there was corruption in the school district, but no audits or investigations happened until someone was threatened by the superintendent's husband on Facebook. Two things. We had a bomb threat and the teachers would not tell us who sent it until the school paper leaked it, and for the rest of the year admin and the paper had a back and forth power battle. Not our school but our sister school. The principal of that school got fired because he was found in a hotel room with a dead hooker on the bed and a mountain of coke on the desk. The caretaker killed 2 local girls and hid them in the school. He tried using the clay kiln to burn them. He later dumped them a few miles away. Oh, I lived in the UK when that happened. We had literally just moved there. It was very sad. Didn't he get in the news looking for them? His girlfriend was shady too. I don't care who you are to me. If you kill a couple of kids, I'm going straight to the police. It was sad. He did. And that was what aroused suspicion. There was something that came out about their history too. A very popular guy at my school was arrested for videotaping people using the restroom. He was 18. They were not. Can't believe he videotaped 19-year-olds. That's terrible. Joke's on you. He was the coolest dude in kindergarten. My high school guidance counselor ducked a science teacher's wife and everyone knew about it. They got a divorce. Both teachers still work at the same school to this day. And students will never ever let it go. The story has been handed down from year to year. So it is written. So it is told. So let it be written. So let it be done. A girl died in the pool during an event at the school. The swim teacher was blamed and was prosecuted. The girl who died was at my sister's class. Both were 7 at the time. That happened over 10 years ago. But the parents haven't had another child since. She was their only kid. Oh gosh, that is heartbreaking. So many of these other stories are gross or funny, but this one. Oh, that poor family. A girl in my year was run over by her bus with her mom watching. She was 6. It was heartbreaking. Some idiot parent showed up to the local elementary school a few years ago and said, I have a gun. I'm going to go to this classroom and shoot this person. What are you going to do about it? He was promptly arrested. He wanted to know what the school's policy was on active shooter situations and make sure they were prepared and his kid would be protected. Unfortunately, he was next level stupid and has been spending some time in prison. What are you gonna do? Stab me? Man who got stabbed? I went to a small Christian high school that also had a middle and elementary school on the grounds. The principal of the high school had a child that was in my grade. One day he comes over the intercom and announces that he's stepping down from his position. He then goes on to talk about how he and the female gym coach had been having an emotional affair for the last few months. This announcement goes through every speaker in all 3 schools. I remember everyone in my class looking over at his daughter, who had a look of complete surprise on her face. From what I gathered, this was the first time she was hearing about all of this. Shortly after, the gym teacher also left her position. But the most interesting part? The gym teacher had no idea this was going on. She was just doing her job and thought she was friends with everyone. The principal read more into their relationship and decided to go to the church with it, and they made this decision. The gym teacher left her job out of shame and had to spend a lot of time explaining to her husband what exactly was going on. Edit. Adding information that others have asked about. The gym teacher's husband took a little time to realize that there was no actual affair that went on. After that, the rumors and gossip in the area got to be too much, and he ended up getting a different job pretty far away and moved them both to start fresh. The poor gym teacher. Yup. Her and her husband ended up moving pretty shortly after to protect her. In the 8th grade, there was an orgy in the bathroom. An orgy. In 8th grade. At school. They got busted after teachers heard them moaning. They all got suspended. Obviously this was entirely inappropriate. But given the difficulty that grown adults have organizing an orgy, not entirely unimpressive. You'll successfully organize your orgy one day. Don't worry. Someone spread photos of naked female students, which forced some of them to drop out. This happened at my school, and one girl actually printed out photos of another girl and put them on all of the windshields in the student parking lots. Kids are so ducking cruel. I hope that girl gets her sweet karma. My high school had some fights that for some reason managed to make the local news. And the principal's words about it were broadcasted as well. She was pissed. and talked loudly in a passive-aggressive manner over the announcements the next morning, repeating our school's mission statement over and over, ending the broadcast with "record that." Record that became a bit of a meme around the school after that. And the school seems to have lightened up about the situation since, because the journalism team's shirts have "record that" written across the back. Work. My mum was a principal of a school where this happened. The story was run as the school having a fight club on a sensationalist TV program masquerading as news, with the 10 seconds of mobile phone footage played on loop after loop. What had happened is that some kids got into a fight in a park and someone had got a shaky video and put it on MySpace, where it slightly blew up, then got picked up. My mum was livid, because she was turning the school's reputation around. In my sophomore year, a group of seniors decided a good senior prank would be to sneak into the bus garage and slash the tires on buses in order to get out of school. I ended up causing over $40,000 in damages and did cancel school one day. Then the police came to the school to do interviews all that week. Apparently, most of them got away with it because of how the buses were parked at the time. Some of them were doubled up, so they only hit the second row of buses, which made camera views too far away to positively identify. After that year, our and the neighboring districts changed their bus lots so that the buses were single row only and beefed up camera systems. Also, as per many posts on this thread, found out after I graduated that my chemistry teacher in 10th grade was arrested years later in the neighboring state for trying to meet underage girls for sex. He was at least in his 50s. The assistant principal was embezzling money. It promptly started a hashtag. Principal increasing principal. I know what you meant. LMAO. But for your information, just throw it in front of your hashtag. 5 or so guys got caught smoking synthetic weed, the kind that utterly reeks and will duck you up internally, in the school toilet right next to the biology rooms, where the biology teacher had just got out of being a drug officer in the Met. When asked if they smoked cannabis in the toilets, apparently one of them, he was new to the school and didn't speak much English, said no. I only smoked weed. Do you have any illicit paraphernalia on your person? No, just some drugs. We had 2 teachers arrested for secretly recording kids and separate incidents. Our woodshop teacher had a low-angle camera on the floor pointing up towards the seats, and also would slide an iPad out from under his desk when girls would walk up to it. He let a student borrow his flash drive, who found the evidence. Then our speech teacher was caught hiding a camera underneath the sink in one of the private bathrooms that special education used. Second one is in a whole new zip code of screwed up. Unfortunately, the mentally disabled are disproportionately targeted for abuse. Someone spray painted as a kiddie diddler. Ask on the wall of the school. Everyone saw it when they showed up. The teacher was nowhere to be found that day. The girl was also nowhere to be found. I remember it was a Friday. Cause the day was crazy with people talking about it. But it sort of died down on the weekend. Monday we find out the guy killed himself that weekend. Later, talking to the girl. Sadly it was very true. Others came forward later. It was a pretty shitty situation. Edits. Holy duck. Holy duck indeed. Gym teacher slash basketball coach and custodian were caught in the act in the showers. Custodian lost his job, but teacher kept his. Go figure. Mop my slop sink. Go figure. I figure the teacher was in a union, and the janitor was not. Not a skank per se, but we had a huge sit-down protest because the cool janitor got fired because of some petty argument with a lunchtime lady who had a lot of pull. Looking back, she was probably ducking the principal. All students from 10th to 12th grade sat down on the floor in the cafeteria when the bell rung at 8:30 AM up until the end of class at 3 PM. The principal came in at the end of the day and said the janitor would resume his employment. We cheered. It made the news. Sometimes what brings the kids together is hating the lunch lady. Although that'll change. Because by the end of the 4th grade, the lunch lady was actually the person I hung out with the most. In my senior year, a group of friends, who were goth before goth was really a thing, experienced a tragedy when one of the friends accidentally killed the other. The friend who caused the accident took his life a few weeks later. This touched off a wave of suicides at my school. 5 in total. Over the next 3 months. One of our students climbed out of the 11th story window next school, climbed past the safety bars, and threw himself out the window onto the street below. Unfortunately, he did it during Play Street, where our school closes off the street to let the young kids play. Barely missed 3 kids hanging out. Died in front of almost 100 kids. This is wild cause I think I was a kid when this happened. But was this at Dalton? I remember hearing about it, but was a little too young to understand what had actually happened. There was a male and female high school PE teacher that essentially shared an office. They always got along really well, and kids would always joke that we were dating. We were just dumb kids, so we never really thought anything of it. After a couple years, they both started acting weird around each other, and there were rumors that he left his wife and kids for this PE teacher. This wasn't actually true though. What actually happened was they added on a bedroom to their house and the PE teacher moved in. The kids pretty much just had 2 moms and everyone got along wonderfully. It was strange for about a year, and then it was business as usual. I guess they're going on about 15 years strong. So, like husband, wife, shared mistress kind of thing? Yep. No clue how the bedroom works, but they all live together and take care of each other. 2 dudes got into a physical fight over a girl. She was lesbian. Pink Triangle by Weezer intensifies. Edit. Thank you kind person for my first gold. I'm dumb, she's a lesbian. I thought I had found the one. Well, I don't know if this was a school-wide scandal, and it was years after I graduated, but it's a scandal and a half. I went on holiday with my recently graduated brother. I graduated 6 years before him. He had noticed his friends had posted online that they were in that same city too. So we all met up with this group of super young looking dudes, all around 18-19. There was an older looking woman I kind of recognized and I assumed it was an older sister. I spoke to her saying, "Hey, I know you from somewhere." And she says, "Yeah, I teach at the school." It hit me that I'd seen her speech at my other brother's graduation 3 years before that. Then it hit me that she was holding hands and kissing this guy who looked about 15. And she was in her mid-30s. Not to mention his ex-teacher, even though they only hung out before he graduated and then they were instantly official. What the actual duck? Apparently they now live together and she still teaches there. Super weird. 2 questions. Was this in France? Is that kid now the president? Edit. My first gold is from reminding everyone that Macron was groomed by his teacher. Reddit is a weird and wonderful place. Someone please remind me when this question gets a response. Someone created a fake Facebook profile for our principal. He was commenting realistically on teachers' pages, but the context never lined up. Nice to see you last weekend, Ems. Brown. Then once he had everyone as friends, he started simply roasting kids. Hahaha. He accessed the account from the computer lab and was never caught. He was my friend's brother. This is actually genius. Just picturing some high school kid with a status like just got a solo squad victory in Fortnite, with the principal promptly commenting, "Lol, you suck." Thanks for watching. Subscribe for 3 videos a day.